Today we are going to start SAR interferometry. Then what does it mean by SAR interferometry? Actually, interferometric synthetic aperture radar determines the phase difference between two complex radar SAR observations taken from slightly different sensor positions and extracts information about the earth surface. Information means physical height of the earth surface, basically physical elevation of the earth surface. So this is very useful to determine the digital elevation model of the earth surface. A SAR signal actually contains two different information. One is the amplitude information and another is the phase information. The amplitude information is basically the strength of the radar response, and the phase is the fraction of one complete wave cycle. The phase of a SAR image is determined primarily by the distance between the satellite antenna and the ground targets. By combining the phase of these two images after registration or co-registration, the interferogram can be generated whose phase is slightly highly correlated to the terrain topography. So basically the phase information is the concern. The phase information is the required information for the interferometric SAR application. Okay, so the variation in the interferogram can be attributed to surface changes which occurred between two image acquisition dates. Okay, I will explain these issues later. So first, the important thing is in interferometry, we are not dealing with the intensity, rather we are dealing with the phase information. What is phase and all these things, I will explain later. But before that, let me explain the products. In the insert folder, we have two zip files, and if you unzip these two files, then actually you will have these two images. Okay, and in one folder you will have all these things, and in another folder you will also have all this information. Okay, and I have also created one folder named output. However, currently we do not have any file in the output folder. The processed images will be created within this output folder. Now see, let me explain the interferogram concept. So for example, this is the terrain. Okay, and here we have one sensor, radar antenna, and it is capturing this portion of the earth. And the same location on the earth surface is necessary to be captured from a different location. But these two locations should be close together. They should not be far apart. Okay. What should be the distance, etc. I will explain. Now, see, for example, we have another location. This is another location from which the same object is being scanned, or it has been scanned. Now, see, if we draw one perpendicular line from this point, then this is basically the SAR baseline distance, this perpendicular distance. Okay. And if we measure the phase from these two different images, then there will be a difference in phase, and this difference in phase will actually give us the information about the earth topography or the elevation of the earth surface. So looking one geographic area from two different locations is very important, and we need two data set, not a single data set. And also we need single look complex data, SLC data. Okay, this SLC data is essential for SAR processing, for in-SAR processing. And also, we need actually single band. So we do not need dual pole data or quad pole data. So a single polarization data is sufficient. But if we want to get very high resolution DEM or high resolution topographic information, then definitely we should procure the spotlight mode data instead of strip map or ScanSAR. Because as you know, that spotlight mode SAR can only provide extremely high spatial resolution. However, the strip map images or the ScanSAR images may also be used for interferometric application, but definitely the spatial detail will be rather less in comparison to the spotlight mode. Now see, phase, we have discussed several times what is phase. For example, this is a complete wave. Okay. So here we have 0 phase, here we have 90-degree phase, here we have 180-degree phase, then we have 270-degree phase, and then we have 360-degree phase. So total phase is actually 360-degree. We may have intermediate phases as well. Okay. And 360-degree means basically, as you know, that pi means actually 180-degree. Pi is equal to 180-degree. So 360-degree means basically 2 pi. Okay. So 2 pi. Now see, in the interferogram or in the interferometric image, there will be values ranging from minus pi to plus pi. That means 2 pi or 360-degree phase differences will be there. And also, as you know, that the value of pi is around 3.14. So in the interferometric image, the values will be within the range of minus 3.14 to plus 3.14. Okay, and this information will eventually be converted into topographic information or digital elevation model. Okay, so anyway, let us first open these two images. The images I have shown you in the in-SAR folder. How to open the data, already it is known to you. Go to File, Import, then SAR sensors. By the way, these two images are from RadarSat-2 satellite. So select RadarSat-2. Go to your desired folder and select two images. First open the first image and then import the second image. Import SAR sensors, RadarSat-2, and go to this folder, this one, second folder, and then product.html and import product. Okay, so here we have two products, and as you can see, the first product is from 4th May 2008, and the next product is from 28th May 2008. Actually, the same satellite captured the same geographic area in two different passes, one on the 4th and another on the 28th. Okay, so there is a gap, temporal gap of 24 days, but this temporal gap is not desired, because if there is a temporal gap, a huge temporal gap, then what happens, on the Earth's surface, several things will be changed. Even in a single day, this changes occur. But if you increase the temporal gap, then definitely there will be more changes on the Earth's surface. So these changes are never desired in case of radar grammetry application or photogrammetry application, as you know. Therefore, it is always better to capture the same geographic area on the same date and time from two different locations, but it is not possible from the single satellite. So in single satellite, actually it is capturing it is capturing the image, one scene from one pass, and then after few days it will come back onto the same location, and then it will capture the same geographic location again, and there will be a temporal gap of the temporal resolution of the satellite. But also there are some satellites, there are some techniques in which twin satellites are being used. For example, TandemX and TerraSAR-X, they are basically twin satellites, and they can, a same geographic area can be captured from two different satellites simultaneously. Some other techniques are also there. However, the main thing I would like to mention you that you should not have a large temporal gap while going for the interferometric SAR application. It should not be more than 3 to 5 days. Why? Because the vegetation height will be changed with the change of time. There will also be changes on the water bodies, okay, water elevation, etc. But definitely there will be no change in the building, or in the built-up areas, or also in the bare rock or bare ground. So if we go for a longer temporal gap, then we will face problem. I will show you in this case what the problems we are facing. We have intentionally chosen this 24 days gap so that you can understand what the problems happen. So however, we have two images, and let me show just one image, intensity HH band. And as you can see, in both of the images we have only one band, only the HH band. Okay, I component, Q component, and virtual intensity band of the HH component you may find in both of the images. This is the image. Okay, now see this image. As you can see, it has almost a square shape. So this image has been captured by using the Spotlight SAR. Okay, it is not from StreetMap or the ScanSAR. The main advantage, as I told you, the main advantage of Spotlight SAR is basically extreme high spatial resolution. So these two images are there, and here also we have another band, and these two images are too large, and also because of extremely high spatial resolution, they contain huge number of pixels, and it is actually may create problem for processing while processing the image in your computer, especially if you don't have sufficient processing power in your computer. So therefore, we shall subset a specific portion to reduce the image size, and then we shall work on the subset image. Our intention is just to demonstrate the process. So anyway, before going for subsetting, we have to co-register these two images. I mean, all these bands are necessary. I mean, from both of the images, from image number 1 and image number 2, from both of the images, the image bands are necessary to be combined into a single file. Okay. So how to do this? Go to radar, then co-registration, and then co-registration. This is known to you. So go to the co-registration tab and just click on this plus sign, the second plus sign. Add opened means all of the opened files will be added. And if you click over here, this both opened files have been added. Now go to create stack, and create stack, as you can see, one file has been considered as the master file. Which one is the master? And well, I mean, there are two files. One is the master and another is the slave. Then which one is the master? The computer will select the first one automatically as the master image. Okay, whatever we select as the master image, it does not matter. Now resampling type. What resampling type will be used? Select bilinear interpolation, for example. The bilinear interpolation will actually reduce some speckles because of the averaging of nearest 4 pixels. And then initial offset method. Okay. Now initial offset method, we have two options. One is the product and another is the product geolocation. From here, select orbit. Okay. Because from the orbital information, we are going to determine the Earth surface elevation. I mean, from the orbit, location of the satellite in the orbit, and the Earth surface pixel. So we are going to determine the distance in between them. The distance in between the pixel on the Earth surface, or a specific location on the Earth surface, and the location of the satellite in its orbit. Therefore, the orbital information is must. One important thing you have to understand that normally SAR images are provided with the orbital information, but if your image supplying agency is not providing the orbital information, then ask for the orbital information. Then output extent. Output extent, as we have discussed earlier, that for example, we have two images. So one image covers this portion of the geographic area and another image covers this portion of the geographic area. Then in the output, what will be the extent of the geographic space? So in this case, we shall consider the minimum portion, I mean the common portion, okay? So that we get both of the images. Actually, getting a single image is not at all useful. So in this case, instead of master in the output extent, instead of master or instead of maximum, select minimum. Okay. What is maximum? Maximum means this portion. Okay. And master means basically this one, the first image. So minimum means minimum is this one. So we are going to select this portion, the common portion. So select minimum. Okay. Then go to the cross correlation. In the cross correlation, a lot of options are there. However, leave them as it is. But one important thing is, you have to define the number of GCPs. And, this number of GCPs will ultimately influence the accuracy of the DEM. Therefore, we need to provide more and more GCPs as much as we can to get a better accuracy of the DEM. But the problem is, if we increase the number of GCPs, it will take huge processing time, and it will require huge processing power. So to avoid the delay, we are selecting 2000, I mean the default one. However, for this particular image, uh, it is necessary to select at least 12,000 pixels, now the question is, how can I determine how many GCPs should be entered? See, from the metadata information, you can get the row number and column number. I mean, how many columns are there and how many rows are there. And if you multiply them, then you will get the total number of pixels within the image. And at least 0.001% GCPs should be considered. So that is why I told you that in this case we need at least 12,000 GCPs, but 12,000 GCPs will take almost 1 hour 45 minutes time to process this image. We do not have that much of time. That is why we are considering 2000. Okay, we are not concerned about the accuracy of the DREM, rather we are concerned about the process. Now go to the RAP. Okay, and in RAP, RMS threshold pixel accuracy by default it is 0.05, and keep it as it is. Okay, and it is different from any other image processing applications. In case of image registration, earlier we might have discussed that the image registration accuracy should be within within 0.5 pixel, I mean half of the pixel size. But since in this case we are going to prepare a precise DEM, and based on the phase differences the DEM will be created, therefore this co-registration accuracy should be very high, and it should be at least 0.05. okay, then let us consider the polynomial order as 1, and the interpolation method also as say cubic convolution. Okay, and then we may click on show residual. I mean the residual error will be displayed. Otherwise, you may leave it if you don't want to see the residual error. Actually, it is not required, because we have already defined that the RMS error or pixel accuracy should be within 0.05 pixel. Okay. Now, next is the write tab. Okay. And in the write tab, this is the file name, and here define the output directory. Output directory in my computer, I have defined it like this: data, C drive, SAR, data, insar, and output. I'm defining the output folder and click on select. So the output folder will be selected over here. Okay, and then click on run. So it has been completed in my machine, and this product has been generated. Let us inspect the result. Okay, we may open a color composite, or just the intensity image, say for example. So this is the intensity image. Let it come. Now see, if you go to the world view tab, okay, and if you click in this view, you will see that the image has been captured from this area. Okay, and within this area we have some, as you can see, we have some variable terrain within this area. We also have agricultural lands over here where we will have the problem, the vegetation will grow in 28 days and the dam will be different. Here we have some water bodies also. So this is the full scene. However, we shall not consider the entire image because it will create problem. Rather, we shall try to select a specific portion, say for example, uh, this portion. Okay, we shall consider some vegetated portion, some water bodies also, and also this variable terrain. Okay, okay. So consider this portion. Basically, this portion. Let me show in screenshot. Basically, this portion. Where we have the some water bodies, flat terrain, also we have vegetated area, and also we have variable terrain. Just to show you. So next, basically, we shall create a subset. But before going to create subset, I would like to mention one thing: the baseline distance. How to check the baseline distance? Okay, select the co-registered image. Okay, and if you click on this icon, insert stack, then you will get this several information, within which if you click on this baselines tab, you will get the baseline distance. The baseline distance is around 439 and 73 meter. Okay, but baseline means this particular distance, this one. Now this baseline always should be kept minimum. Minimum means how much? Say within 150 meter to 300 meter. If it is larger than this, then will there be any problem? Yes. There will be problem in generating the DRAM. I mean, you may not achieve that much of accuracy. That is the problem. Otherwise, the processing will be performed, but you may not get that much of accuracy. So the baseline, it is ideal that if you can keep the distance within 150 meter to 300 meter. Okay. So next, we shall subset this image. First, zoom into this location, this area. Okay, as I did. Come to this area and consider this portion only. And then go to raster, subset. It is creating the thumbnail image. Now say I have considered this portion. Okay. You may adjust it if required. As you know that this can be adjusted. Then go to band subset. Leave all these values default, all default values, and then click on OK. And the subset will be created automatically. And the subset area will also be highlighted. This is basically the subset area in the world view tab. You will get the subset area. This is the subset area. And as you know that subset image is not saved by the software automatically. So select the image, press right mouse button, and then click on save product as, and then it will give this warning message that this image is necessary to be saved in dim file format, and click on yes, and where to save. select the directory or folder and click on save. I'm considering the default file name. So this is the subset image. Okay. And these three are the original images. Okay. Now I would like to close all of the products. Okay. You just subset the image. Meanwhile, I am closing all of the products and opening the subset image only. So I'm going to file, close all products, because they will unnecessarily occupy the memory. So I'm closing everything, and then I'm opening insert output subset. So this is the subset image. Okay, so next we shall create the interferogram. Okay. An interferogram is formed by cross multiplying the master image with the slave. The amplitude of both images is multiplied while the phase represents the phase difference between two images. And this is not a simple multiplication, rather it is a complex conjugate multiplication. Okay, so from this multiplication, basically, we will get the phase difference, and the phase in radar is symbolized. I'm deleting everything. Symbolized by the Greek letter phi. Okay, and the phase that is directly, or the phi that is directly related with the topography. But you know, other than the topography, there are also several other causes that influence the difference in phase. Who are them? Let us try to understand it with a formula. The formula, I mean, to determine the phi or whatever the phase the software is determining, that is the phi, the phase. Okay, phase difference between the master and the slave, and it is being determined by complex conjugate multiplication, and this phase will contain the actual phi that is caused by terrain variation, phi dem. Okay, because of the terrain variation, what is the phase difference? Plus phase of flat terrain, plus phase of displacement. I will explain. Displacement plus phase of atmospheric contribution plus phase of radar system noise. Okay. Now this is the actual information we want to get, but with this information, we also have several other contributors. Okay, so how can we get the actual phase? The actual phase we can get, that means phi, actual phase means phase difference because of the terrain variation. So phi dem phi dem we want to determine is equal to the measured phi minus phi flat terrain minus phi of because of displacement plus phi because of atmospheric contribution plus phi because of noise. Third bracket close. So this is the case. Now see, if we subtract the flat terrain phase from the measured phase, then we can determine the terrain variation. But we have some other phases are also there. So this works best if atmospheric contributions and other noise is kept as small as possible, because they are hard to estimate. And if there is no elevation change between two images, between two acquisitions, because of temporal variation, then also the atmospheric contribution and the SAR noise will be there. Then what is this one? Displacement. Displacement means the terrain variation or the displacement, phase displacement caused in two images because of the temporal variation. For example, vegetation has grown, the water tide has been changed, and this is not the actual terrain variation. So this is caused by the temporal gap in two acquisitions. So this problem will be there especially in the vegetated and water covered area, as I told you earlier. Then this atmospheric problem, and also we have the SAR noise, and these two noise cannot be mitigated. Okay. Now see, this can be reduced if we can capture the imagery with a shorter baseline, as I told you, within 150 meter to 300 meter. And if you increase this distance, then this baseline distance, then definitely these problems will be highlighted and the errors will be introduced in the DEM. Now, besides the interferometric phase, the coherence between the master and the slave image is estimated as an indicator for the quality of the phase information. Okay. Coherence means matching of phases. If the matching of phases, if two phases determined from two images will match exactly, then they are coherent. And if there is they are not matching, then there is no coherence. So basically it shows the images have strong similarities and are therefore usable for interferometric processing. Loss of coherence can produce poor interferometric results and is caused by temporal variations over vegetation and water bodies, and it is also caused because of the geometric variations, errors or inaccuracies in orbital metadata, or volumetric decomposition, potential scattering mechanism of voluminous structures such as complex vegetation, etc. As you know that volume scattering is unpredictable. So in two images, the energy may react differently because of the volume scattering, and there will be definitely phase differences. Now, coherence is calculated as a separate raster in addition to this interferometric image, and shows how similar each pixel in between the slave and master images, and the values we obtain within the range of 0 to 1, where 1 means 100% matching. Areas of higher coherence that means appear brighter, and areas with poor coherence will be darker. In an image, vegetation is shown as having poor coherence, and buildings will have generally very high coherence, or bare rocks will have very high coherence. Okay, because of the temporal variation, there will not be any change on the terrain height, and as a result, there will not be any change in the phases of two multiple images. Okay, so let us now process it. So how to process? Go to radar and then interferometric. Okay, then products, then interferogram formation. Okay, so click on this interferogram formation, and the image, input image is the subset image, and this is the output file name. As you know, this is the output directory. Now go to the processing parameter. In the processing parameter, leave all these features as a default. Okay, and also, you know, let me explain. Do not check this one, subtract topographic phase, because our intention is to extract the topographic phase information. So if we subtract the topographic phase, then ultimately we won't be able to create the DEM. So we will not subtract the topographic phase, never. Second thing is, you know, the coherence, whether there is matching or there is no matching, then it will be calculated based on, say, 10 by 10 pixels. Okay, so we may change these values. However, I am considering the default value, and I am clicking on run. Click on run, and the interferogram will be calculated. Now see, what are the images? See, here we have the intensity component of HH, Q component of HH, intensity of this one. Then also it has created the phase image. This is the interferogram image. And also we have another image, COH, HH. So this is basically coherence image. First, let me open the interferogram. If you click over here, see, this is the interferogram. Okay, this is the interferogram image, phase information for each and every pixel. But see, it cannot be interpreted, and it is like a noise. And if you go to the coherence image, if you open the coherence image, you will find that in these areas we have very high coherence, means matching of phase in the master and the slave. But see, here in the agricultural area, these are the agricultural areas, here we have very low coherence. Okay, and if you go to the pixel info, then see, as you can see here, you will get the values. See, you are getting the phase difference, you are getting the phase information, and also you are getting the coherence information. As you can see, in the agricultural area, we have even coherence less than 0.1. Okay, but in the bare rock, we have coherence about 0.86, means 86% matching of phases. And different phases can also be obtained within the range of, as I told you, minus 3.14 to plus 3.14, minus pi to plus pi. This information can be obtained in the phase image, and the coherence value, as I told you, it will range within 0 to 1, and it is basically defining the matching of phases in two images, master and the slave. So anyway, let me close these products and let us go for the next step. Next step is multi-loop processing, although it is not mandatory. Why? I will explain it. So go to tools, then radar, then SAR utilities, and then multi-looping. Now see, this is this second product. Okay, this interferogram will be the input image. This is the output image, output folder name, and then go to the processing parameters. Now, as you can see, if we want to convert this image into ground range square pixel, it is taking 1 pixel in the range direction and also 1 pixel in the azimuth direction. That means the image is already in the ground range plane. We do not require ground range conversion further by applying the multi-looping. Then why we are applying the multi-looping? Basically, we shall average, say, 2 by 2 pixels, and this averaging will ultimately reduce the noise in the DEM. Means fluctuation, height fluctuation, certain height fluctuations can be minimized. So we are averaging, and as you can see, in case of 1 by 1, earlier we had spatial resolution around 2 meter, and if we make it average of 2 by 2 pixels, then it will become 4. And based on the spatial resolution required on the DEM, you have to define this looks, number of looks. Say if I need around 10 meter spatial resolution, then I have to put value 5 over here, and say, as you can see, the spatial resolution will become around 10.5 meter. So this is basically an averaging technique that will reduce the noise on the DEM, but you have to remember that it will reduce the pixel size, or it will sacrifice the spatial detail. So anyway, we are giving value 2, and also, as I told you, that this process is not mandatory. Since the image is already in the ground range plane, this averaging is not mandatory, but definitely if we average a few pixels, then the noise can be reduced to some extent. So just accept all the default values and make the number of loops as 2 and click on run. So this is the multi-loop processed image, and let us just see the intensity image, how it looks. Okay, the phase information, we are basically interested on the phase information, not on the intensity. So go to the phase. So this is the phase information, and as you can see, here we have almost uniform color difference. But here, if we come, as you can see, in the agricultural land, we have random color variations, and this random color variation means basically random height difference, and this random height difference is because of the vegetation. And also we have this kind of problem in the water body area here. So anyway, whatever the problem, we shall try to solve it. But this is the multi-loop processed image, and now we can apply phase filtering to reduce the noise further. So how to perform the phase filtering? Go to radar, then interferometric, filtering, and select this one, Goldstein phase filtering. So in Goldstein phase filtering, what will be the input image? Input image is the last one, multi-loop processed image, and the target one. Okay. Then go to the processing parameters. Then it will apply adaptive filter. One pass, say window size 3x3. Okay. And Fourier transform for size 64, etc. Default of leave all these values as default. Then we have another option over here, use coherence mask, and you have an option to set the value. So in some of the instances, if we have very low coherence, then they can be masked. Masked means those pixels will be converted into black pixel. There will be no information for those pixels. Okay, if we have very low coherence. But we are not masking the area. We are not going to mask any area. Rather, we are going to consider all of the values. So we shall not check this one. Now you may ask that if we go for masking, then what will happen if some of the information are dropped? Okay, so say for example this one, this is the area, and in some area we have very low coherence and all these pixels have been dropped. However, there will be no problem because we will have information for the surrounding pixels, and these pixels can be interpolated to generate the information of this area. But this is not very right for each and every case. I mean, in each and every case, this cannot be applied. As you know that interpolation is basically a statistical estimation. And in each and every case, we cannot apply statistical estimation because on the Earth surface, it may not respect the statistical estimation. So we are not checking this one, and we are clicking on run. That's all for the for the phase filtering. Okay, close it, and now see. Here we have the product. Let us open the phase image. This is the phase image. See, it is much smoother, and definitely in these areas it is really smooth. But what about the vegetated area? Still we have the problem, random differences in pixel values. Can you see? You have to remember that we have a temporal gap of 24 days. That is never recommended. We should collect the image instantly, in the same instant. If not possible, at least within 3 to 5 days. And also, as you can see in the water covered area, we have this kind of problem, huge noise. Noise means here I am referring, random variations in the terrain. Okay, like this. Terrain does not vary like this. But here it happened. Anyway, but this is still a better image. Next, we are going to use the SnapWho plugin. In SnapWho plugin, we have to perform 3 different tasks. But before performing these tasks, let us configure the SnapWho and check whether it has been installed properly or not. Go to the tools and then click on manage external tools. You click on manage external tools, you will find the SnapWho plugin listed over here. Okay, and also here in status, you should have a green tick. If you do not have this green tick, that means there is some problem with the Snapoo plugin. So first check whether it is working properly or not. Let me recreate the problem. It may appear like this. Okay. So if it appears like this, then double click over here, double click on it, double click over here, and then Snapoo unwrapping editing tool will appear, and here go to bundle binaries, okay, and in bundle binaries you have to give a target folder name, okay. This is mandatory. You have to give a target folder name. What will be the target folder name? See, in my computer C drive, SAR, data, insert, and perhaps this is the output folder name. Okay. Now I have to type this path, full path properly. But you may do some mistake, and if you do some mistake while writing this path, full path, then definitely the program will not run. So that is why I recommend you one thing, just look at this screen, click on this blank area in this address bar, click on this blank area. So the address will be highlighted over here, press Ctrl C from the keyboard, Ctrl C from the keyboard to copy this entire path, and then paste it over here. You can choose any folder of your choice. So this is the target folder, okay. And if you put the target folder over here, then you will have one button over here like download and install now, okay. So click on this download and install now button. If you click on this download and install now button, it will install the bundle binaries, and click on OK and click on OK. Then you will get this green sign. This was about the plugin configuration, first configuration. Okay. Then we have to perform 3 different operations over here. First of all, we have to export the phase information, wrapped phase information. Then this wrapped phase information is necessary to be unwrapped, and then this unwrapped phase information is again necessary to be imported, okay. So how to do this? First, if you have installed the Snapoo plugin, then in the radar interferometric you will have this option, unwrapping, okay. And in unwrapping, go for Snapoo export. First requirement is to export the data. Go to Snapoo export. What will be the input product or source product? This should be the last one. Last one should be the the phase filtered image should be the input, okay. Then go to Snapoo export, and you may find an error over here, okay. But if you define the target folder, then this problem will be vanished. So define the target folder where this exported data will be kept. So click in these 3 double dots, then go to your desired folder, SAR, data, insert, output, okay. Now see, it is asking for a file name, okay. File name, actually this is not a file name, this is actually a folder name. You have to give some name, and the software will create a folder with this name. So give the folder name as say export. Okay, and it will create one export folder under this output folder. So click on select. Now, as you can see, we have defined the target folder, but still the error is there. Okay, don't worry. If you click on any other tab, the error will be vanished. Okay, there are some minor problems in the software. Now see statistical cost mode. Now see we shall select topo from here. So topo means basically the topographic elevation will be unwrapped, and DEFO, the model DEFO will create more precise DEM. However, the topo is faster but comparatively rough. So we are going for topo because we do not have enough time. We also have smooth option. Smooth means more fine, but for the timing, let us select topo. Then we have two initialization methods, MST and MCP. So MCP will take lesser time and MST will take rather longer time. And then number of tile rows, number of tile columns. Put these values as 10, 10. Okay, that means the processing will be performed based on 10 by 10 pixels. I mean, it will slice the image into several pieces based on this number 10 by 10, and the operation will be performed on individual slices in different cores of the processor. Then we have the name of the processor, how many processors are there within the computer. Okay, so I'm considering the default value of 4. In workstations or in high-end computers, you may have octa-core processor or hexa-core processor. Accordingly, you have to assign the number of processor number. If you enter a value like say 60, but in your computer you have only 2 processors, but it does not matter. The computer will take only 2 processors. Then row overlap, say let us consider 0, column overlap let us consider 0, then tile cost threshold 500. I mean it will at a time or simultaneously maximum 500 tiles will be considered in the processing. Now see, all these parameters are actually related to the processing time. It is not actually for the output product. Okay, I mean whatever the value you select, that will not alter the quality of the output, but definitely it will alter the processing time. So anyway, we have defined all these things, and then just click on run. If you click on run, then the processing has been completed. It will show that processing has been completed. Next step is unwrapping the data. Wrapped phase information will be unwrapped. This is necessary to be performed from this tool, radar, interferometric, unwrapping, and then SnapWho unwrapping. But the plugin, this particular plugin has some problem, and normally it does not work. So again, we have to, edit the parameters in this plugin. So how to do this? Go to tools and manage external tools. Okay, and in manage external tools, just double click on this plugin to edit its parameters, and go to the system variable. In the system variables, you will find one name, one variable, that is user profile. Okay, and also a path has been defined, and this is not actually the default path. I mean, this is the path where you have kept the unwrapped data, So this path is necessary to be copied. Let us see. Data insert, and in output we had created one folder called export, and within this export folder the software automatically created one folder with the name of the file, and if you double click on it, then this is the folder. I mean, here we have the unwrapped data. Now you just click on this black area, click over here, the entire path will be highlighted. You just copy it, Control C. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to type this full path manually. Definitely, you will do some mistake, and ultimately the program will not run. So you just click on this black area, or even you may select it and press Control C from the keyboard. And then put this value over here, user profile. Double click on the user profile, this file path name, double click over here, a new dialog box will appear, edit user profile, and in Windows value, paste the path, Control V, and click on OK. That's all. I mean, you have to define the output folder name where you have kept the unwrapped data. That's all in user profile. And then click on OK, and you may also close this dialog. Next step. So unwrapping is next step is the unwrapping. We have to do the unwrapping. So go to radar, then again interferometric, then unwrapping, and then SnapWho unwrapping. Okay. Still, you may face problem while running it. So just run it. If you face problem, then we have a different solution. So you just click on SnapWho unwrapping, and in the SnapWho unwrapping, source product is the last one. This face filtered image, last face filtered image. And then in the processing parameters, check this one, display execution output. Check on this one, otherwise you will not be noticed what is happening in the background. So check this one, display execution output. Then output folder, defining the output folder is not necessary because we have already defined the output folder in the tool manager. Okay, and then click on run. So what we did over here, source product as the last one, face filtered image, then processing parameters, display execution output, check this one on, and then click on run. That's all. And if you click on run, it will take a long time to unwrap the data. And here in this black area, you will see the process. And as you can see, it has been completed. 100% is completed in my computer. Okay. And in the message box, we do not have any red color line or red color text. If you have any red color text, that means it is error. That means it has been executed properly without any error. Okay. But still, you know, here we have the cancel button. We do not have OK button or something. Anyway, just click on cancel button. It has completed 100%, and we do not have any red color text. That means it has been completed properly. And just click on cancel, and click on close. I'm showing you another thing. See, if you are facing any problem, then go to tools and manage external tools, and then define the path in the system where you'll define the path and all these things, and then click on run. This one, run, and select this adapter, then run. And if you run, then see the same dialog box will come. SnapWho unwrapping dialog box will come. So from here also you can run the program. Next is the importing. To import, again go to radar, then interferometric, then unwrapping, then SnapWho import. Okay, and click on this SnapWho import. Here in this dialog, we have to define several things. First, source product. The last one, face filtered image. This is the source product. Then read unwrapped phase. Where is the unwrapped phase data? Okay. Now let me come to the Windows Explorer. Now see here we have kept the unwrapped data, and as you can see here we have two files, unwrapped phase, but this is the IMG file and this one is the HDR file, header file. We have to define this particular file, HDR file, not the image file. These two are basically unwrapped information, unwrapped data information, unwrapped phase information. So select, click on this triple dot and go to the folder, export, and then this particular folder that has been created by the software automatically. And then here, see, you have these two files. Okay. This one is the IMG file, as you can see in this, in the extension .img, and this is the header file, HDR file .hdr. Okay, so select this one, double click over here, but still we are facing a problem, error message. Okay, don't worry, you just click on any other tab, it will be vanished. Okay, data format, any format, or DIM format or SnapWho format, whatever, NV format, so just keep it as it is, any format. Then SnapWho import. Okay, here do not save wrapped interferogram in the target product. This should not be checked, never, because we want the we want to get the wrapped interferogram information, and it will be required further. Okay, therefore we will not check this one. This should be kept as unchecked, and then go to write, give the file name, or the software will give the file name automatically, and also the directory name or folder name. Okay, and then click on run. It may show you one warning message that this file is already there. Do you want to overwrite it? Yes, click on yes, and the image will be created, and this is the image. This is the product, final product. And let us come to the bands, and as you can see here also we have the phase information. This was the phase information, and this is the unwrapped phase. And as you can see, we have succeeded to minimize lot of noise. This was the original phase image, and this is after unwrapping. And see, but still, I'll show you. Still, we have some noise over here. Random pixel values, not very smooth. Also in these areas, and also in the water bodies, it's not very smooth. This is because of the temporal variation, as we have discussed earlier, and also in this area, as you can see, we have noise, lot of noise. Okay, but in this area, it is rather smoother. Okay, next, go to radar, interferometric, products, then phase to elevation. Phase to elevation. So now the phase difference will be converted into elevation value, and we will get the Earth surface topography. So now phase difference, the phase difference. First, in phase to elevation dialog, First, we have to define the input product or the source product. So that is the last one, unwrapped data. And this is the output file name, as you know, and this is the output folder. Okay. So now go to the processing parameters. Now see, we need a digital elevation model to create a digital elevation model. This is very interesting, you know. See, in this equation, as I told you, that we need the information about the flat surface. Okay. Now, where from we will get the flat surface or the earth curvature value? The earth curvature value can be obtained from an existing DEM. But this DEM is not necessary to be very high to be with very high accuracy. But at least we should get the information about the earth curvature. So this, for this particular phase value, we need an existing DEM. So the DEM, CoreSat DEM may be supplied by your image supplying agency, or we also have the option to download it. So in the digital elevation model, select this one, SRTM 1 arcsecond HGT auto download. This is basically 30 meter SRTM DEM. So SRTM 1 arcsecond HGT auto download, this one. And let us consider bilinear interpolation. It will consider nearest 4 pixels and it will average it, and ultimately this time also some noise will be reduced. So this is the thing you have to do. Okay, and the software will automatically download the SRTM 1 arcsecond HGT DEM. Now click on run. And it will be downloaded, and now as you can see in my computer it has been completed. And so here you will get the elevation value. This is the newly created DEM, and this DEM is much accurate than the SRTM DEM. Okay, SRTM DEM I will also generate the SRTM DEM later. I'll show you, or I'll compare these two DEMs. So this is the DEM that has been created, and if you go to the pixel info and move your cursor over here, here you will get the earth surface elevation for each and every pixel. Okay, so we have created the DEM by using interferometric SAR or SAR interferometry, or this is also called as radar grammetry. Okay, so the DEM creation is complete, but after creating the DEM, you know, we need to create the we need to apply the terrain correction. This is mandatory because ultimately this DEM will be exported in some other software for several processings. For example, for hillshade analysis, for viewshed analysis, for watershed analysis, and for several things this digital elevation model will be used. So before exporting to any other software, we need to convert it into geometrically corrected image and north side up orientation. So this can be performed, as you already know, that this can be performed from radar, then geometric, terrain correction, and range Doppler terrain correction. Okay. And here, what will be the input? The last product, the DEM one. And then this is the output file name, output folder name, and then go to the, now see here in save as option, you have the option to save this image in GeoTIFF if you want to export in some other software, etc., etc. However, we have also shown you how to export the data in some other format. So therefore, I am saving it in DIM file format, I mean the internal file format of Snap. Then in the processing parameters, source band, which one will be geo-corrected? The elevation. Okay. Then digital, where from it will get the digital elevation model to correct this data? Select this one. SRTM 1 arc second HGT auto download. Then leave this all these parameters as it is. Okay. Don't change anything. But here, mask out areas without elevation. I mean, where we do not have the elevation, then this area will be masked, but we do not want to mask any area. So just uncheck this one, and also importantly, in the output bands, selected source band will be there, and also check this one DEM. I mean, this SRTM 1 arc second HGT DEM will also be there in the output, because I want to compare these two outputs. One is the original interferometric DEM, and another is the SRTM DEM. Okay, so just do this thing. Here you give the input file name, output file name, and output folder name. Then in the processing parameters, in digital elevation model, select SRTM 1 arc second HGT. Okay, and then uncheck this mask out areas without elevation. We don't want to mask any area. Then here in the output, selected source band and DEM, and then click on run. And the terrain correction will be performed. Okay. And I'm closing it. Now see, in the DEM, what happens if I take a profile picture, and this is, for example, 1 pixel, okay, cross section of a DEM. So this is 1 pixel, then another pixel will be like this, then another pixel will be like this. Then suddenly, because of the noise, you may have 1 pixel like this. Okay, then again another pixel is like this. So the height is increasing, you know, then the height may be decreasing. Now see, this pixel is the problem, and this is called hole within the DEM. Hole. These holes can be removed. Okay, how can we remove it? This is a simple logic, you know. Just let me show. For example, here we have elevation value 100, here we have 101, here we have 98, here we have value 99, here we have value say 91, say 59, sorry, 95, 95, then here we have say 103, here we have say 100, okay. And here suddenly in the center pixel, basically we run a 3x3 window to check whether there is a hole. And if we find in the center pixel smaller value, certain smaller value, for example 50, then this value will be replaced by the smallest value of the surrounding pixels. So what is the smallest value? Smallest value is the 99, and the 50 will be replaced by this 99 value. So this is the logic of hole filling. So hole filling may be performed. It is not an essential task, but if you feel that you want to fill the holes, then definitely you can perform it. But before going for the hole filling, let me show the products. First, this is the terrain corrected original DEM, I mean interferometric DEM, and this is the 1 arc second DEM. And as you can see, this has a very coarser resolution. It does not have very high spatial resolution or high spatial detail, but the DEM we have created by using the interferometry has a very high spatial resolution. Now, but still, see, in this DEM, in the vegetated area, we have problems. We have noise, random changes in pixel values. Okay, this is already I have discussed why this problem came, and as you can see, in the water areas also we have this problem. Anyway, so this is the original product. Now we can apply hole filtering on this image. Okay, we may apply, it is not mandatory. How to go for the hole filtering? Go to the raster, DEM tools and then fill them whole. Fill them whole. Okay. Now, what is the input product? The last one, train corrected one, and then target product with the target product name, output folder name, then in the processing parameters, whole filtering on which image you want to get the, you want to apply the whole filtering. Actually, we need the original image. You do not need the 1 second SRTM DEM. But anyhow, I'm selecting both of the images because I want to compare these two images and set the no data value as 0. I mean, where we will not have any information, then the pixel value will be 0. And click on run. So the DEM filling, whole filling on the DEM will be performed. And this is the whole field DEM. Okay. Next, I'm opening the whole field elevation product. Okay, original elevation data. I mean that I have generated. Now see, we can see the profile. Okay, and how to see the profile? See here, this is the tool. This is the tool to get the sectional profile. So click over here, profile plot, and it will open a dialog box like this. Then you have to draw a line, I mean profile line, sectional line. So click on this button, line drawing tool, line, and then click and hold the left mouse button on the image. Click and hold and then drag it. So for example, up to this point, we want to get the profile. Okay, so this is the profile. You see, this is the profile. This is for the originally created elevation. But if you select this one, this is the SRTM DEM, and as you can see, there are huge differences in the accuracy of the DEM, and you will get very minute detail in this DEM, whereas in the SRTM DEM, it is basically a simple structure. So that is basically the utility of interferometric SAR. Now see, these values can also be copied and exported. Here we have a tab button. This is the button for tabular data. So click over here, and now see for each and every pixel, the pixel number 1, 2, 3, 4. For each and every pixel, you will get the pixel coordinate x and y. You will also get the geographic coordinate, latitude and longitude, and also you will get the elevation information. Okay. And this data can be exported in Excel, and you can do any task based on this. Even you can create profiles in the Excel sheet. So how to copy this data in the Excel? Just press right mouse button, just right click on this white area and select copy data to clipboard. So all this data will be copied in the clipboard. And now if you launch Excel, and just paste it, Control V, and you will get all these values in the Excel sheet for further processing or further analysis, whatever you say. And if you click on this profile icon again, and then you will get the profile. So now it is, these values are being shown for the normal SRTM 1 arc second DEM, and if I select this one, then I am getting the actual DEM, interferometric DEM. Okay, and then click on this table, copy this data, copy data to clipboard, and then I'm pasting it over here. Okay, and you can compare the elevation value. See, here this is the SRTM DEM value elevation, and here this value, this elevation is from the insert data. This is the SRTM elevation, this is the insert data. Even you can compare these values, etc., etc. Okay.